Ideagen TV. Today with me is Amy Hopkins, Executive Director for Strategy at PhantomWorks, one of the coolest organizational names I think I've ever heard in my life. At Boeing, Amy, welcome.
Thank you.
So great to have you here today. And with us as well, joining us from different parts of this North American continent are Sheri, Hashemi from Seattle, and Candace Smith. Candace, welcome. Where are you located today?
Hey, I am in Chicago.
That's right, you're in Chicago. I didn't want to misstate the locations because we've got this truly global panel from Boeing today. And I'd like to begin by asking you all, for our global audience, to ask a little bit about yourselves. Could you tell us who you are, what you're doing, why are you here? We know why you're here. You're here to change the world, so you don't have to answer that part of the question. But let's start with Amy. Amy, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here. My name is Amy Hopkins. As you said earlier, I'm the Chief Strategist for Boeing's PhantomWorks.
Incredible.
We are the innovation arm of Boeing Defense. So working to solve some of the nation's national defense's hardest problems every day. Okay,
so just small problems.
Just small problems.
You know, PhantomWorks, I can't get over the PhantomWorks name. Sheri Hashemi, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, George. So I'm a product team lead. Excuse me. I'm a product team lead, and our primary focus is on building the right partnerships with our suppliers and other product teams so that we can deliver on time with the quality that we need to have. And I'm also a PhD student. I'm currently in year 2 for my PhD in aviation through Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University.
How cool is that? PhD student. So soon we'll refer to you as Dr. Hashemi. I mean, I aspire to that one day. I think it's just awesome. Congratulations and Godspeed on that journey to that PhD. It's going to be a lot of fun when you finally get that piece of paper, isn't it? Now our good friend Candace Smith. Candace, welcome from Chicago, live. How are you?
I am doing very well. I'm so happy to be here with you all, with these lovely ladies. I am currently Director of Engineering People Strategy in our Engineering Strategy and Operations organization. And here I'm leading the transformational change to the next great thing with the Boeing company. So basically, you know, I lead a team of really incredibly capable people who strategically partner to ensure that the engineers throughout their career life cycle have everything that they need, the tools, resources to understand and execute their work, to grow their skill set and expertise, to share ideas, and to get recognized for their accomplishments, really all to the delight of our customers. You know, our engineering teams, they have to have the space to explore, as Amy talked about, innovate and improve throughout their entire career. So I really partner closely across the enterprise to help amazing people like Sheri, our engineers, be as successful as they can throughout their careers.
So well said and so inspiring. I love particularly what you said about to the delight of our customers. It's such a nice thing to say, and it's true, but my gosh, it's a positive way to refer to your customers, right? To the delight of our customers. And so to the delight of the planet, let's talk a little bit about the global goals. So to the delight of the planet, perhaps, we being citizens of the world here, together with all of the nations of the 193 member states of the United Nations, they agreed unanimously, perhaps for the very first time in history, on these 17 broad goals. Things like eradicating poverty, no hunger, empowering women and girls, global partnerships, sustainability, and all the things that you're hearing about more and more today. ESG is part of that, right? And so Boeing and you all have been stalwarts, leaders on a lot of these issues. And as we look toward achieving these goals in this runway to 2030, but goal 5 in particular, gender equality, what sort of work are you doing collectively, individually, to help with achieving this goal? Let's start with Sheri. Sheri?
excuse me. Right now, making a personal effort towards helping early career women, for getting them some support, guidance, ear for their experiences, someone to listen to, and to help bolster them as they get started on their journey as engineers. I think mentorship is extra critical right now, especially for those who are just starting out and they may not have the network, they may not have the support systems. And so, with it being harder to create those with COVID, I think we just need to reach out just a little bit extra to help make sure folks get started on the right foot.
So well said. And thanks for all you're doing, Sheri. And Amy, let's go to you for a moment.
One of the things that I'm personally doing is also, just like Sheri, is reaching out and trying to communicate more with more often with our early career young women, even going to universities and high schools as well, to show young women that there is opportunity that maybe they didn't even think was available to them. Maybe they think different than other folks. Maybe they think they look different, and to show them that what they may think is a disadvantage is actually a strength. And it's what we look for, especially in Phantom Works, in the innovation arm.
Sure.
We look for that diversity of perspective, and to show them that it is possible for them.
And I think you and I in this pre-discussion had talked a little bit about being able to, if you can't see it, then you can't even begin to imagine it.
Mm-hmm.
And then certainly you can't even begin then to reimagine it, which brings us to Candace. Candace, I'd love to hear from you about what you're seeing and what you're doing in your world to help with this achievement of Goal 5.
Absolutely. And I wish I had more time. So at work, part of my portfolio is what's called the external technical affiliations. So all the investments that we make through our Boeing Global Engagement Organization in organizations like Women in Aviation, like the Society of Women Engineers, like the National Society of Black Engineers, where we are focused on bringing talented women up through the pipeline to have meaningful careers or successful endeavors in the STEM fields. So I'm really proud to have ownership of that portfolio through the Boeing company, whose name carries so much inspiration to little girls around the world. Here locally, I'm part of the Metro Achievement Council, and that's part of Midtown Education Foundation. And they seek to support girls across low-income, inner-city Chicago to put them on pathways to success. And the thing I love about this organization is that it really embraces the dignity of a person, leveraging the emotional intelligence of youth and focus on their academic excellence, their virtue development, giving them that individual attention, like Sheri and Amy mentioned, in terms of mentoring. And then there's a parental engagement component there. So we really seek to inspire them to positively transform not only their lives, but their families and communities. Because, you hear it all the time. When you educate a woman, you educate a community. So I'm really proud to be a part of that work through Midtown Education Foundation and our Metro Achievement Council arm of that. And then just like Sheri and Amy, whether we're actively doing it in terms of mentoring or we're just showing up and inspiring, that is a responsibility and obligation that I don't take lightly. We talked about if you can't see it, you can't dream it. I am a representation of the dream that little girls, little Black girls, brown girls, whatever girls around this world can look up to and say, I want to be her and aspire to be better. And even those who dare to dream. So, I don't take for granted just by the virtue of my existence, but it's the work that we do and the responsibility that we execute to really go out and inspire girls and tell them they can.
Yeah, and that's so incredibly, and you can hear the inspiration and the enthusiasm and the excitement in your voice, Candace, as you talk about that inspiring work that you're involved in. And you know what? I think it's important to have that additional layer in work, right? You have this passion for changing the world, and you're doing it even beyond, the four walls of your company, and bringing that enthusiasm back into the company to change the world. So I think it's a win-win for everybody with what you're doing. So just a few short months ago, it seems like yesterday, we're, on the other side of the studio looking out over DC, Washington, DC, and you look out and you say, just in January, it seems like yesterday, we were all celebrating this new year, 2020. And who could have predicted that a few short months later, we would be sitting, the entire planet for the first time in human history would be achieving or shutting down and trying to achieve overcoming this hidden enemy. And you all have been along the ride. You've come along this ride. And what methodology, what modes of communication have you all used to connect with people and your teams, given this situation we're in? Amy?
So we've all been doing the Zoom meetings or what we call WebExes. I find those mildly interesting. It's how we're doing work, but it's not really how we are connecting. How I've been able to connect has really been through virtual morning coffee hours with people and virtual happy hours. Let's be honest, it is great to, I don't have to, I've lost or I've gained an hour home in my day because I'm already home, and being able to turn off the work Zoom and shift to a virtual happy hour and just check in with people.
Yeah.
And I don't mean, having a meeting with someone, but really checking in with them.
That's right.
How are you? How are you doing? And let's do it over a cup of coffee in the morning or a glass of wine in the afternoon. It's really been what I've been able to do over the last few months, and I think it's really helped.
Yeah.
To be able to keep that personal connection with my teams.
And I think you're right. I think there's a balance and there's a work-life balance, and I think a lot of people have described the difficulty of turning it off. Where does it end? Where does it begin if you're constantly able to connect via a digital mean? And I think if you're cognizant of that, as you are, then you can develop that balance. How about Candace?
I am right there with Amy. So, yep, lots of virtual connections, good old-fashioned phone calls, making those again. Professionally, I'm giving my team more space, less meetings to plan for a meeting, shorter meetings where I am giving and receiving directions from them, and then just more space to just talk and express, to the degree that we're all comfortable. Express what we're experiencing, maybe the help we need, encouraging each other's. There are some people on my team that I have not yet met. We have taken for granted that we're just, an airplane away or a short drive away, but we're not anymore. So, just like Amy, I am connecting with my team in whatever outfit we are wearing in the moment, no pressure to dress up, to just be who we are and have those conversations. And, I am think that I have a superhero squad in my professional and personal life. So even socially, I have an incredibly strong core group of friends around the country. And then locally, the superpower has just emerged where we just make it all better. We don't forget that there's a pandemic and all these other issues that we have to combat every single day. But in those moments of simply connecting and being there for each other and saying, I'm going through it too. I am here with you. How can I support you? It has just emerged as an incredible superpower. And I'm so grateful for it.
Superpower. We wish we all had superpowers. It's on some days I feel like we do have superpowers. And here we are, Sheri. I'd love for you to embed your answer in my next question, which I think goes to the heart and soul of how you can change the world, and that's called transformational leadership. As part of your academic studies, you've mentioned the value of this transformational leadership, especially in terms of style, and especially during this crisis, this situation. Can you explain for our global audience and all of us sitting here today, what is this theory that you've come up with?
Absolutely. So transformational leadership style is one of the contemporary styles that's out there right now. I'm particularly interested in transformational leadership because it's building off of relationships or creating relationships. It's a common bond that's built on trust, encouragement, commendation, inspiration. It's a style that embraces humanity and a level of relatability that you can often just completely lose in the process of doing business. And so by utilizing this style, you can have an extra level of connection when in other ways it might even be lost or never was there to start with. And uncertainty right now is, it's this byproduct of this continuous change and something else and then another and another. Today we might not even know what's happening, let alone tomorrow or around the corner. Uncertainty identity theory by Hogg suggests that humans actively reduce uncertainty. It's a bit of us that says uncertainty, gotta solve it. Needs some certainty, needs some solid foundation, needs some level of stability. And often that's actually obtained from gathering information that's reliable, seeing common identity with teams, groups, categories, just finding something that says, okay, I'm human, you're human, we're all in this together, and then being able to create a stability off of just that bit of humanity.
Yeah, well, and that's just an incredible deep dive into the details of transformational leadership and the behind the scenes look at transformational leadership. And so let's go a step further, Sheri. How do you see the transformational leadership as a means to achieving this goal number 5 of the United Nations global goals?
One of the targets for goal 5 is ensuring women's full and effective participation in equal opportunities for leadership in political, economic, and public life. Through engagement and relationship building and the relatability of transformational leadership, individuals, regardless of formal role, can show up for each other. Often it's not even a formal leader. It's just someone who shows some strength. And like Candice was saying, and Amy's saying, showing up, just showing up for that person. And I think by doing that, we create a base that builds opportunity for women and girls to take their next steps forward towards engaging and participating at every level.
Tremendous perspective, Sheri, just amazing. And so shifting to Amy and Candace, what are a few of the realizations that you've had while navigating this global situation? Candace?
Oh, again, it's just like, where do I start? I've realized just how much work I have to do to truly help eradicate the issue of the human rights issue of systemic racism. You've read the news, you've heard about the protests, but I have to think about what does that mean for the change that I want to see in this world, and just how much work there is to do. I think I've also realized what true vulnerability means. It's not just about, being in a forum, telling my story or speaking my truth. It's about a completely open and uncontrolled narrative that really happens in a moment and truly reveals who I am and who, others are in response to that moment. I've also realized just how positive I am, just how vulnerable I am, and just how well supported and loved I am in my professional and personal life. And that's been nice to realize. I think, in our professional lives, we don't often express how much we care about our colleague because it's a professional environment. But I found that in this moment, as we are seeing people shift in their priorities or shift in their careers, we are losing opportunities to engage very often with somebody that we've spent so much time with, and it's okay to say, I love you. It's okay to say, I care. And knowing that we don't have that other connection that typically comes with a traditional friendship. So I think I've just had a moment to realize so much about myself, so much about others around me, and also acknowledge those realizations. So there's a lot of fortunate moments in this time.
There is indeed, Candace. And Amy, I'd like to ask you the same question.
I think one of the things that I have come to realize is that I thought at first my Boeing family, my teammates and I, that we were all experiencing the same thing. And after I have really reached out and at a personal level with folks to check in on them, I realized that we all aren't having the same experience. It may seem like that at times as we're all on Zoom and we're all working from home,
Right.
but there are people who are having vastly different experiences during this trying time. Some, a lot of my colleagues actually never could work from home because of the nature of their job that we do sometimes and where it has to be done. They still had to go in every single day. And there are some of us who did stay home. There are some of us who were working parents and trying to figure out school from home and work, and others working a hybrid model. Others who were caring for, elderly parents at home. Every single person's experience right now is unique and
That's right.
different.
That's right.
And I had this realization, I was being, it was selfish of me to think that everyone's experiencing this the same way. And so that's why I recently have tried to work very hard at on my engagement is a word we throw around a lot, but just reaching out to folks, because if we can't take care of our mental health, our physical health, our financial health, then they can't bring their full selves to Phantom Works, to be innovative.
That's
So to me, that's been a big realization, is that we're all experiencing something different, even though the environment that we're all in seems to be the same.
So interesting. And it's an individual experience, you're right. And although it appears to be a collective experience, and it is to some degree,
Yeah.
the quagmire that in that is that everyone is experiencing it in a different way. It's like watching the same movie.
Yes.
And you ask someone, what did you think, or what was it about? And they give you a completely different answer.
You're like, are you sitting in the same movie as I was?
Right. Exactly. And so that's what we're experiencing today. And there's that plus all of the content coming at us. Candace mentioned something about the good old-fashioned telephone. I happen to like the good old-fashioned telephone. But now you can't reach people on the telephone. You can't reach people on the telephone because they're not at their places of work if you have just their work number. So you have to rely on email. And guess what's happening with that? People are overwhelmed. They already were overwhelmed. Now they're getting nothing but email. And you're losing the emails because you're overwhelmed with all these emails. So it's sort of an interesting moment in time for sure. And it will be very interesting to see what remains changed and what goes back and what is rebuilt. What is the, where we've lived through the previous, which was like pre-pandemic or global situation. We were all moving fast, so fast. Things were moving so fast. Travel, traffic, just those two things alone, travel and traffic were difficult, but in many ways good for the economy, right? Those two issues are gone right now. There's no travel and there's no traffic. And you may make an argument that those are positive in some way for the environment and all these other things, but in the end, we remain to see what the real impact of the, of these situations are on the economy on a long-term basis. So stay tuned, as they say. And this I'd like to ask to Amy and Candace. So as we figure out how to build these teams, as we look to provide advice, what would you say to those looking for this advice and other leaders? What would you say can change the game right now? Candace?
So I think for me, I don't take the title of leader for granted, right? So when you talk about building a solid team, that responsibility is distributed to all team members. In this global pandemic, I think leaders are emerging from places that are often overlooked or under-considered. Leaders who have that willpower, that strength, and that vision to really meet this moment. So, my goal is to focus on my teammates' strengths, their interests, and their resilience versus kind of over-rotating on their, on my weaknesses or, less than positive outlook. I really feel like there's no one size fits all when it comes to building and engaging a team. Nobody does that alone. So expressing the need to have that responsibility shared across the team is super important. And just having I talked about it before, a unity and mission. As a team, what are we trying to accomplish? Making sure there's an understanding of that so we can really figure out how strong of a team or what team we need to be to achieve that mission.
Incredible. So Amy, how would you respond to that?
So for me going forward, we need to stop communicating in soft words that you cannot hang objective analysis off of. I am a firm believer that we should purge our lexicon of could, should, might, and hope. Clearing these words from our lexicon is a mechanism to get rid of ambiguity.
That's right.
Ambiguity leads to anxiety. Anxiety leads to hesitation. Hesitation leads to doubt, and doubt leads to not being able to communicate. We should never should it, might it, or hope it. Yoda had it right. Do it or do not, and have a backup plan. To me, that's the way we're going to achieve these goals.
And that's why you're executive director of strategy at Phantom Works at Boeing. You just described the reason why. It was a great pick, and I think they could not have picked a better person to lead that area, which you cannot talk about. So on a lighter note, we're shifting to goal number 5. Let's go to goal number 5, gender equality. It's one of the most powerful goals of the 17 global goals, in addition to global partnerships. They're all very important. And the glue really is the partnerships goal, right? It's been referred to as the mother of all goals, number 17. But goal number 5 is extremely critical for the future. and for today, quite frankly. How do you see this goal as it ties into the other 16 SDGs? I mentioned global partnerships being intricately tied into all the others, but how does this goal 5 fit in? Sheri?
I think gender equality ties into all of this, all of the goals, every single thing we're trying to accomplish. When you're fighting to have a voice and you're fighting to have representation, you're also not able then to share your responses. The collective body is then missing those answers, the solutions, the ideas, the connections, all of the opportunity that comes from having an entire body contributing. When you're not even having a voice, you're missing a really big piece of all of the contributors. And so by having this level of equality and leveling the playing field, you can actually put all of the information on the table and not just half of the answer.
That is just profound. And so, Amy, let me ask you that same question.
So it goes back to our earlier discussion, George, where to me, the power of our perspectives that we bring, that is what fuels the fire of innovation. If I am not bringing in as many different perspectives as I can, then the innovation will inevitably, it just won't occur. So to me, when it comes to gender equality, we all need the perspectives of women around the world to be part of that fuel for that fire. If not, we will inevitably fall short.
Incredible. And the final word goes to Candace Smith. Candace, what is your perspective?
All right, so I think equality is another one of those words that we give a different meaning to. So I always go back to my good friend Google search. Equality, the state of being equal, especially in status, rights, and opportunities. So listen, these 17 areas that we're trying to impact are not problem areas that were created in a vacuum, right? In some way, we all contributed, the human race and our ideals contributed to these issues that now we have to go and solve. Women need to be equal partners in developing those solutions. Women need to have equal voices in doing the work, right? Women need to be empowered to be decision makers, movers and shakers, to make that change that everybody should benefit from. So I would say, let us be a part of the solution. Not let us, just get out the way. We need to be a part of the solution.
Candace Smith would add the last word.
Get out of the way.
Get out of the way. Get out of the way.
We want to help make the change and help sustain the change. And it can't be sustained without women being equal. That is a simple matter of fact.
That's the last word with Candace Smith. It's a perfect segue to the final question. In a few words, could you all just let us know what you think are the best approaches? What is the best approach to achieving these 17 global goals? Sheri?
A few words: partnership, collaboration, teamwork, base building. Build that base.
Candace?
I would say for me, it's togetherness, right? Let's do it together. Have that unity in mission, unity in purpose, that clarity, and let's solve one thing or as many things as we can, and let's go together to solve the next thing and the next thing until it's a done deal, and we can all be free to enjoy this life experience, and just continue to make the world better.
And Amy Hopkins, Executive Director of Strategy, I love saying this, so that's why I keep saying it, at FamWorks at Boeing. I'm just enamored with the name. Phantom Works. Amy, what is the last word on that? What would you say in a few words is the best way to achieve these 17 global goals?
We all need to value the diverse perspectives of everyone around the world, and to see the power in that and the power of all of our perspectives collectively.
That's the last word. Candice Smith, Sheri Hashemi, Amy Hopkins, thank you so very much. And thank you to the Boeing Company for everything you're doing, including at Phantom Works. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
you for having us.
Thank you.
I'll now go purge my lexicon.
I love